Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of the AI Conversation. My name's Kavi, junior consultant here at IBM, and I'm joined by my co-host Harry.
My name's Harry Chamberlain, a junior consultant at IBM.
And today we're really excited to bring a special guest, Martin. How are you, Martin?
Really well, thanks. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. So Martin's technical director of IBM's security in the UK and Ireland. So really excited to have Martin on. Today we're going to be covering three highlights. First of all, an overview of Martin, how he developed his career. Secondly, the two sides of AI within security. And finally, how to succeed in sales. So we'll move on to our first section.
Absolutely. So, Martin, really interested to hear about your story. So my first question is, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, brilliant. So I am probably best known for my expertise in cybersecurity, a field I've worked in for 25 years now at IBM of my 29-year career. And, you know, at heart, I'm a bit of a technologist. I love technology. I'm interested in technology, how it works, what it does, how it solves problems. But I think one of the things I've done successfully as I've gone on my technical career is I've put a business lens into what we do. How do you realize that business value? How do you explain that business value? But yes, a long time in cybersecurity. I'm pretty broad in my expertise these days. I started in a small area around identity and access management. I expanded out from there over time, became a security architect, and pivoted into a number of roles that allowed me to think and advise clients more strategically about their security. Where are the gaps? What are the right approaches? Spent more time, I guess, ultimately educating clients. Cybersecurity has been fascinating over these 25 years because it has continued to evolve at some pace as the world has digitized, as people have adopted cloud technologies. And that modernization, we're going to talk about AI, it shows no sign of decelerating. And every time a new technology, a new paradigm comes up, whether it could be quantum computing, it introduces new cybersecurity challenges and risks. And so, you know, we've constantly had to reimagine what cybersecurity looks like. What are those threats? What are the approaches? How do we adapt to these new threats as the attack surface, if you like, expands? But I've had a wonderful career here. I'm an IBM Distinguished Engineer, something I'm very proud of, for around 10 years now. And still loving cybersecurity, loving IBM because it keeps evolving and changing and helping solve really quite complex challenges for our clients. I'd love to say they're really simple, but they are complex, and IBM is so well placed to solve those bigger challenges that clients in the industry face. So that's just a tiny bit about me.
Brilliant, thank you. And in terms of, can you tell us a bit more of what we do in cybersecurity and what we're currently doing at the moment and you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, so our focus in cybersecurity, so we have narrowed our focus somewhat to focus on our strengths. So when I started, we did a very broad range of things. Now we're really focused around three key topics: threat management, data security, and identity and access management. I work in the IBM technology side of our business, so I'm really working on and interested in those technologies, those products, those suites, if you like. And in each of those three areas, you know, we have essentially a platform, an open, and I think that's really important. You know, we have a very open approach to cybersecurity, open standards, open interfaces, open APIs, and in fact, we contribute extensively to the industry. So each of these three areas, we have a portfolio platform of capabilities. One of the conversations I'm having a lot these days is really around data security, spending a lot of time with clients in different aspects. We're going to talk a little bit about securing the data in AI, but there are many, many other facets to it. You know, understanding your data, discovering it, classifying it, protecting it, monitoring it. And in the future, you know, one of the things that is starting to concern clients rightly is the emergence of quantum computing, for example, which has the potential to disrupt the cryptography we rely on today to keep all of our information secret. It's going to disrupt that. And so clients are starting to think about what does that mean? How do I say quantum safe? And so there's a whole set of conversations there, a lot we can do in the data space. And then identity and access management. Super important to understand who the users are of your systems. What are they doing? Do they have the right access? Can I ensure, minimal levels of access? And again, we have a suite of capabilities. And these days we're talking about something called, an identity fabric. How do we knit identities together into a more cohesive way? Hopefully that gives you a flavour of those kind of three areas. On the consulting side, there's a whole set of services around security, from advisory services, designing systems, thinking about strategy, thinking about policy, thinking about compliance to regulations, right through to managing security for clients, through to an X-Force team that does things like ethical hacking. So lots of interesting and valuable things going on in security at IBM.
It's really interesting to hear about security in general. Moving back to kind of the AI side of things.
Yes.
So obviously in security we've got using AI to protect ourselves and protecting ourselves from AI. So the two kind of sides of the coin. Could you kind of talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think that's a really useful way to think about it. So we are embedding more and more AI capabilities into our products to make them more efficient, to make them more intelligent, to improve their accuracy and the speed. Speed is something we talk about a lot in cybersecurity. We know that the cyber criminals are acting with more speed, more pace, and we want to keep up with that. We want to respond in terms of protecting, detecting, responding, and using AI helps us do that. Historically, we've used AI for quite some time. It's embedded in our portfolio, but maybe we just don't shout about it enough. That is largely based on machine learning. But now, in this new era of generative AI, we're looking at ways that we can integrate generative AI capabilities to make security professionals more efficient, more effective, take away some of the mundane tasks that they might do by kind of synthesizing data. So this whole notion of leveraging AI to defend is really important, something we're doing. But there is that flip side, as you rightly said, about securing AI. As people rightly explore generative AI and look at what it means for their business and how they can drive growth and innovation, new capabilities, it's very exciting. And a lot of people are experimenting, are piloting, and some are taking those capabilities into production. Now, if we think about that, there are three important things we need to be thinking about. That generative AI uses large language models, and they are quite large, terabytes of data in many cases. That model, that data, could be stolen, right? Or it could be perverted in some way to distort the way the model behaves. So protecting the data, understanding how you're securing the large language model is important. We've seen whole large language models being stolen. That's been much reported in the press. Then when you're training the model, how do you ensure that the right people can access the model to do the training so that you don't pervert the training or inject something into the model that wasn't supposed to be there? So there's protecting the model itself as you develop it. And then as you use the model, how do you ensure that that is secure and that people aren't injecting or asking questions or a series of questions that might lead the model to go outside its normal bounds and pervert the model in that way? So I think it's really useful when you're thinking about AI to think about how are we securing AI? How are we securing the data, the model, and the usage? And of course, all of that needs to be underpinned by governance. That is important. And another area that IBM is very strong in, I would say, with watsonx governance.
So you touched on the point there about securing AI. How are we using AI to stop these cyber attacks? Is there any use cases you can give us or any examples?
Yeah. So think about user behavior, the way users behave, and user behavior analytics. That is a capability that we have that is absolutely fueled and powered by AI, machine learning algorithms that help to understand and profile what that normal behavior looks like and look for things that are falling outside those bounds. That's a very powerful capability. If I think about identity and access management, we have moved to a world where you can do, risk-based authentication and access. You can look at the behavior of the user. What is Martin doing? Does it look like normal behavior by Martin? Where is he? Where in the world? What time of day is it? What is it I'm doing? And you can get very, very sophisticated if you want without even interrupting the user looking at it. Turns out things like the way I move my mouse is very particular to me, almost like a signature. The way I type actually is quite unique to me. There are all sorts of things that I do. And you can look at all of those and build a kind of builded risk score, confidence that it's me. And what am I doing, and is it legitimate, or could that be, a fraudster or computer system trying to do that? So those are just a few, and often this will be behind the covers. You won't, as a normal user, really see that this is going on, but it is, and certainly in certain industries, particularly in banking, for example, they use very sophisticated techniques with their platforms to look for those behaviours, using, absolutely anchored in machine learning and AI.
Just building off the back of that, obviously, as consultants, we use kind of IBM consulting assistants to help us on our summarization, day-to-day tasks. What AI are you using? Is it Watson governance? I don't really understand that. What is it?
So IBM has developed a large language model called Granite that has been very carefully curated to ensure the quality of the data that's inside that model, that we have a lot of confidence about, and that we can be really transparent with, and is trustworthy. I'm sure we'll come back to trust, because that's something I think that's really important about the IBM approach. We can use those models to train AI assistants, if you like, to synthesize data, provide summaries, and so on. Those sort of things that make the role of analysts much, much easier.
And you were talking about protecting models. You said in the press there's been examples of models or data sets that have been just completely stolen. Yes. With IBM's own AI, do you guys in IBM Tech have any role in protecting kind of the Watson stuff, or is that separate?
That's a great question. So IBM does a lot of work. So in our CIO office, there is a CISO team, Chief Information Security Officer team and office. I mean, that is really tasked at protecting IBM in all sorts of ways. Our employees, our intellectual capital, our business assets, our models. As we build offerings and services, that team helps each of the lines of business. Each line of business actually has a BISO, a Business Information Security Officer. So IBM Consulting will have one, IBM Technology has one, and they look carefully at how do we put the right controls and security around those models and those services, so that we can ensure bad actors aren't using them, aren't infiltrating them, aren't poisoning them some way. So we have a set of very mature, robust and comprehensive security controls and policies anchored in technical controls. So the technical controls are things like monitoring. We are monitoring what goes on. And that goes, all the way down to the laptops that you're both using, right? All the way up through IBM's infrastructure to try and ensure that, one, we're protecting things in the first place, preventing things, but two, if the worst should happen, and it's very hard to stop every single attack and every single attack, that's something, that's a truism. It's hard to get to 100% security. But when the worst happens, that we can detect it and detect it rapidly. That's important, finding it early, and then taking the right actions to respond. And IBM has those processes and procedures, and it's very mature. So, that's one of the things that gives me great confidence that we're secure in ourselves in what we do, and things have been really well thought through from that security perspective, from an ethical perspective, from a trustworthy perspective. IBM has an executive responsible for privacy. I think that's a really great thing. We have executives responsible for cybersecurity. It really operates from the top level of our company all the way down through, which is really important. Try and get it right into the DNA of the organisation.
So obviously AI is a massive step forward in enabling us to be secure. How's quantum going to play into this in the future? What's your viewpoint?
Yeah, so quantum's another disruptor for me because it changes the computing paradigm. And when we get to what's termed, quantum advantage, the point at which quantum computers can outperform classical computers, it's going to be around that time frame that we can crack some of the cryptography that we would consider today robust and secure and safe. So for me, it's about understanding what can we do to mitigate that event. Now, the great thing here in quantum is that IBM has been working on this problem for a long time, about 7-8 years, longer even, and there's been quite a global effort to come up with what are termed, quantum safe cryptography. There was a competition run by NIST, around 84 entrants, and the final 4 successful algorithms are in the final stages of ratification, should be ratified by July this year. IBM contributed to 3 of those. And some of that cryptography is already readily available on our mainframe platforms, even today, already. So by using those new algorithms, you can mitigate that threat, which is great news. So we don't know exactly when this point is going to come. Is it 2 years, 3, 5 years, 10 years? There's a lot of speculation in the industry. Everyone believes it's coming. We're going to break the current cryptography. But at the same time, the good news is there are new algorithms. You can replace the old ones with the new ones, and they're quantum safe. So a lot of my conversations with clients are about helping them understand that landscape and to do the proper planning and preparing and build a strategy so that it doesn't suddenly become a huge scrabble to do something, because that day has come.
Just for my own knowledge and our viewers' knowledge, what is cryptography?
Oh, sorry. Cryptography is really the main way that we keep data secret. It is, in simple terms, a way of scrambling data using keys. So you generate keys that are very hard to guess and reverse engineer, and they're used to scramble this data into a way that it's unreadable, unusable, and can't be broken. And it's based on mathematics and mathematical problems. It's a technique that's evolved over decades now, and the algorithms, the cryptography has got more and more robust. The key lengths have got longer. That makes it harder mathematically to solve it. And even with the largest supercomputer in the world, which is vast, I won't begin to describe it now, but it's truly vast. It would take thousands of years to break this mathematical problem. And it's become very ubiquitous. It's used everywhere. When you go on a web browser and you're doing some work for IBM, or you're communicating with your bank, or you're buying something online from a retail store, it is using cryptography. You may or may not know about it. You may see something that says HTTPS, and that S is for secure, or you may see a little padlock. Those communications between your browser and the organization, the retailer, they're being secured by cryptography.
Last week with Seb, we understood the importance of governance and the importance of our values of trust and kind of getting around biases and being sure we're being ethical with our AI development.
Yeah.
How is this being done in cybersecurity?
Yeah, so you've mentioned a couple of really important words. That I think one of the most important things when I think about AI and cybersecurity is trust. So, for example, on the using AI in our cybersecurity products, one of the things we do, this is tied to trust and transparency, is we make it very clear when something is AI generated. So if there's a piece of advice, a conclusion, a recommendation, we make it very clear in the system, in the console, that's AI generated, versus that is a group of professionals collaborating and coming up with a recommendation. So we make it very clear when it's human generated or when it's AI generated. That's all part of the trust and the transparency. We were talking before about securing AI. We talked about securing the data, the model, and the usage, and it's underpinned by governance. If clients are going to be successful and drive adoption of these new capabilities, these new solutions to clients, to their employees, those employees are really going to have confidence in them. They're going to have to trust them. They're going to need to be explainable and transparent. It's going to be really important to be able to explain how did that system get to the answer. And in both cases, we're helping clients to do that. As they develop the generative AI, making sure it's trustworthy and explainable, making sure you can understand and curate exactly what's in the large language model, how it's trained and how it's used. And the tooling we're working on now, it's really about not just governing and looking for drift or bias or some sort of profanity, the really undesirable things in the models. But it's also about monitoring, who's accessing the data, who's accessing the model, how is it being used, having that very real-time monitoring capability so at the very early stages that something inappropriate is happening, something undesirable is happening. And I think clients are coming to an understanding how important that is. There's a lot of education going on. So I'm spending a lot of time this year helping clients understand, in their rush to innovate, the other things they need to be thinking about to do this in a trustworthy and an ethical and explainable type of way. And I think that is one of the things that sets IBM apart, because we're really thinking about that longer term brand reputation and trust of what we're providing. So, sometimes we're maybe criticised in public for not being the fastest to market, but I think there's good reasons for that. So it makes me think this is a little bit of a tortoise and a hare story, but I think we're doing the right things. And I think when I look at Think now in Boston and some of the keynotes and some of the clients standing up at the keynotes and talking about what they're doing, I think that more considered approach it is paying off. And trust is so easily, it's hard to earn, but so easily broken. So if you don't take these sensible steps, and I'm not talking about very difficult things, these are sensible, pragmatic things, that in a way are just an evolution of cybersecurity, just taking it to that next level, that next step, just adapting a little bit to AI and those concerns. If organisations don't do that, well, there's a huge risk. They're taking a big risk.
So let's now move on to our final highlight. I'm aware you work in sales and I've worked in technology sales. Can you tell us a bit more how you succeed in sales? What's the values? How do people do it?
Yeah, good question. So you're right. I've worked in technology sales for a good part of my career, the vast majority of my career, mainly on the technical side. And it's really, in my role, it's a partnership with the sellers. We have sellers and technical sellers, and we have a number of other teams, client success, client engineering, helping in that. The world of sales is interesting. It is about ultimately solving a client's business problem. It is about understanding that problem, building a value proposition. And these days, if I look at the way we go to market now, it's really much more about showing, not telling. So we are definitely in a mode of less PowerPoint and more demonstration. So there is absolutely a piece of homework that you need to do on the client, understanding their business, their industry, their priorities, discovery work, and developing a value proposition that solves one of their key issues. And then as you build out that value proposition, for me in the technical team, it's much more about, demonstrating how we could solve that more efficiently, save them time, money, effort. In cybersecurity, I mentioned speed, solve it faster, more accurately. One of the banes of cybersecurity is something called a false positive. False positive is something that looks like it's a real cybersecurity attack, but actually it's completely benign. But you waste hours investigating to realize, that was nothing, phew, stand down. During that time, of course, you're probably missing the real cyber attack because all your effort's over here. So building out compelling demonstrations, showing the value, trying to move the client towards, piloting something, testing something. We're a lot more into the world of trialing technologies. It's important. And then it's interesting. I mean, there is a level of, I guess, ultimately pressure in the world of sales, because you're trying to drive towards great success for IBM, and we set up the bar high for ourselves. And so you need to be able to run multiple tactics and campaigns across your territory, your set of clients, and they'll all be slightly different, and leverage all the different ways we can go to market. Partnering with IBM Consulting is a great way, with business partners, and look for all those different tactics. So I think to be successful in sales, you need to be quite well organized. You need to plan and think about that campaign, if you like, that your plan to make plan. And to do that, of course, you need a certain amount of pipeline. You probably need more deals, more opportunities, of which a number of them you're going to be successful on and close. And so, you can absolutely apply some methodology to it. And you can look at how have I been successful, which value propositions really resonated with most clients, which demonstrations, how do we make a difference? And then one of the things I like to do is try and turn some of the client wins into reference stories, get those clients so happy and realizing the value that they'll go and talk to other clients and advocate for us. And that's almost a kind of ultimate sign of success. And then very likely they'll buy something more from us. Well, they'll look at the next problem. Well, you've helped me solve this problem, IBM. What's that next problem?
Sorry, did I?
No. I was just hoping that gives you a flavour of what it's like in the world of sales and the kind of dynamics that go on.
And have you had any experience specifically selling AI-based products? And if so, how is that different from selling cyber products?
Well, that is an interesting question. So AI is embedded in our cybersecurity portfolio, in our products. It's embedded in Guardian. That's the brand name for our data security, or Verify. It's intrinsic. I think one of the challenges is, bringing that to life for clients. It's a little bit buried and hidden away. So it's about, I guess what's changed is, and particularly this year, because everyone is shouting about AI, is how do you bring the value of that to life? It's no good me just saying, it's AI here and it's AI there. So what? So what? Why should I care? And so we've had to adapt and be much more vocal about, this is the value, and the reason we can deliver that is because we have AI that does this. Drives speed, drives accuracy. So I think it's more about just working out what the narrative should be and how we make the AI more visible in a meaningful way, i.e. what's the business value of it? It's not AI for AI's sake. What is the value, and why can we do this better than someone else, and why should you do this with us? So I think that's the thing that's kind of changed. I think before, IBM does a lot of great work in technology that you might think of as plumbing. It's kind of inside, it's hidden at the back end. I think it's still true to say that 70% of the world's transactions go through IBM mainframes, but no one really knows that or necessarily cares about that. But why is that important? Because of the availability, the performance, the resilience, that matters. The transactions are successful. So, I think this is one of the challenges in IBM. We do a lot of clever things behind the scenes, but we don't necessarily vocalize it and bring it to life. So that's probably the challenge.
And how do clients respond? Are they keen for this AI? Are they apprehensive? What's the consensus with what people think?
It's interesting. So in the cybersecurity space, cybersecurity professionals, I think, are a little bit cynical in their nature. Maybe understandably, given their role. They're always expecting the worst, looking for vulnerabilities. There's a certain mindset that people in the profession have, and for them, I think already they're a little bit jaded by the phrase AI because everyone is talking about it, and so for them there's a skepticism. I think in business everyone's very excited about it, everyone's talking about it, everyone's trying to do something where they claim they're doing something and shout about it. So I think you get these two different perspectives. The way through that is really, again, just demonstrating what we can do. And when you show someone something, the way we've integrated information now and made it relevant to a particular persona, a particular person, a particular user, then you can see that wow moment. They go, wow, I get that. When you show them the level of automation you can achieve when you're responding to an incident or detecting something, they go, wow. So again, I think it's back to a little less talk, a little more showing. And when you show them, the response was really positive.
So just before I hand over to Harry for our conclusion, we started a new initiative last episode where we asked a previous guest to ask you a question.
Okay.
And then you're going to hand over to the next guest your own question. So the question that was given to you is, what skills do you think the next generation are going to need in the AI space?
That is a great question.
Courtesy of Jeremy Bassender.
Thank you, Jeremy. I think one of the things that's going to be really important, I'm going to say, is a growth mindset and the ability to learn and study and watch how AI evolves. AI is one of these things, it is changing literally every week, every day. I am spending time every week trying to educate myself to stay up to date. So this may not be the answer you expect, but I think you've got to be on your A game to keep up with the world of AI. So I think there'll be other things. Yes, perhaps it helps to have a more analytical mindset, to study data science, to have a more mathematical background. Yes, I'm sure all those things will help. But just really studying the topic, understanding these models, how they're evolving, the characteristics, the nature of AI and how it's being applied. I think to be successful, it's just about studying, tracking what's going on in the industry, having that growth mindset, just keeping up that, what do we talk about a lot? Relentless curiosity. I think that is going to be one of the most important skills, because even for me, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. Lots of people think I do. What's going to happen next year, Martin? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can prepare myself from a soft skills point of view. I can do my homework. I can do lots of what if scenarios. I can track the industry. I can look at what's going on, to prepare myself, because I don't know. I don't know exactly. So growth mindset. Relentless curiosity.
Thank you very much. And also another AI conversation initiative We would love to know your one-liner on AI. What's your one-liner on AI?
One-liner on AI. Well, I think AI has such potential for good, for innovation, for doing amazing things that will make our life better. But on the flip side, it has the potential for great harm and challenge if the cyber criminals get hold of it. And honestly, I think the most important thing we can focus on is trust. You know, if we don't, in the midst of those two paradigms, if we don't trust AI, if we don't make it explainable, we're going to be in a world of trouble.
Martin, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Really, really appreciated your insights. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we learned three main topic areas. One, who is Martin, his technical background, and how he's grown and developed his cybersecurity career. In addition to that, we also learned about the opportunity of AI, but also the flip side of that and how we need to be careful custodians of AI as it develops and progresses. Furthermore, we've also learned about his sales background and how he believes the importance of organisation, resilience, knowledge, and the ability to show clients those value propositions is fundamental for our success. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Super.
Thank you.